Welcome back to Mount Disappointment, and in particular the bump track. And the bump track can be accessed off Rayners Road. This is Rayners Road here at the Tina section at the end of these puddles, which is out near the Sunday Creek Reservoir and the Anderson Garden campgrounds. And you can see here today I've given those water holes a big wide berth. Every teenager that's ever bought a 4B and fitted huge tyres to it's been playing in those holes. And the 225 95 16s can tackle all terrains pretty well, but because you can't see to the bottom of the holes, you can't see where you're driving on them, so you'll end up stuck on the diff housings. And I didn't want to be bailing out water again today. I'm heading back to the bump track today to tackle it again a week after I took the rear corner out of it. But today I've turned up at just before 12 o'clock, so I've just given myself heaps of time to kick back and film along the track, whereas when I turned up there the other day, or last week, it was all a rush right before the light run out. So we're going to tackle it completely different today. I'm going to drive it in some different positions, and we're going to get the disco up there with one diff lock on skinny road bias tyres with a 50mm lift. And in the mad rush last week to get out here and on the track, I also didn't press record on this first section down the bottom. So today I'm getting you a bit of a glimpse of what it's like right at the very bottom. I won't go into the midsection of the track very much, but you can see it's been used for a long time. This section here hasn't changed very much at all. This wall on this side is so high you can just step straight out onto the roof rack from here. And I don't know how many years it's taken to be cut down that deep, but yeah, it's been like that since I can ever remember. And I've snuck around all the major holes on the high water line there. There's some tracks to get around it, but all these ones down this end here, before you start heading up the hill, they're all very, very solid bottoms and they don't get very deep. And just to mention that when the track gets up to near the top, the whole track in general is a red track, and it's recommended, have all the gear twin locked, big tyres, all that sort of thing. So it's not the sort of thing you want to tackle in your nice shiny new four-wheel drive. There's very real risk up in the top section of the track of taking the side of the car out. I run the snorkel, even this trip here, I run the snorkel down the side of the bank. It's because it just leans you straight into the wall. There's another track on your left as you're coming up when you're down on that bottom section where the creek is, where you can drive up the creek and then back onto this track. It's pretty basic stuff. I didn't bother filming it. Another thing to mention also is all these holes at Mount Disappointment have got big sticks and logs in them. and particularly the ones that are full of water. So you just got to be very careful about heading into them. it's not uncommon to get a stick trying to tear your radiator out. While I was up at this top section today, one of the things I wanted to do is see if I could get on it and straddle it, the same way I used to with the big tyres back in the day. But because there was no front diff lock and it was sort of right at the limit of the traction, the wheel that was heading up onto the bank just wasn't getting any drive. So instead of mucking around for ages trying to get it up there and ended up breaking something, I just decided to go ahead and find another way. And the thing you'll see when I'm up there is if you do get up and straddle the bank and you're in a vehicle that hasn't got the big wide tyres sticking out, when it all goes wrong and you slide back down that metre into the hole, you're going to take the whole side of your car out. So that's something to keep in mind. And you'll see also as I'm heading up through here, you'll see bits of car all over the place from where the bank and the trees and the roots sticking out, because the tree roots are as high as your windows in your car here in some of the deep sections. So Mother Nature's definitely taken out a few cars along this track. That's my week-old shiny new quarter panel. I drove this track like I was chewing with a toothache. Okay, here it is, that tree off to the edge of the track there and that root sticking out. That's what took it out last week. You can see there that bottom of that root as the car drops down. You can see the glass there from my back window. When I drove off the edge and down into the hole, the car just leads straight through and that root come through the window. I had a couple of different goes at how I was going to tackle it here. I was going to drive up the high side on the rock shelf, but the camera doesn't show just how off angle that was. You can see that the front driver's side tyre there is unloading and it's just about off the ground. I think it did come off the ground there before. But anyway, I was going to drive up on the high side, but I couldn't. It was just too much of a risk of tipping it over. So I decided to get up close and personal again with this tree. But this time, instead of driving off the end of the track there, just hug it tight on the way around. Now, this is the thing on these extreme tracks, is that you really need to be able to be prepared to push your bars and that in to the walls to get as close as you possibly can and be prepared to take paint off. I'd love to know the car count that this tree's tagged. It'd be very high. You can see all the bark taken off it. But what happened here last time is I fell off into the V, and you can see that root sticking out. It just went straight through that back window. It's not the craziest steep track, but it is steep, and it really adds to the difficulty when you get on some of these obstacles. And it really shows up bad balance or, top heavy vehicles. I really tried to get some more angles this time of coming up. I had a bit more time to sit there and think about the angles rather than just rushing the whole thing like I did last week. You can see we're leaning right over into the bank now. This is where it gets really off angle, and you are going to be extremely close to the bank the whole way up. And you know, I rubbed the bars and the snorkel up this next section from where the car is now up along the bank, and there's really no way out of it. And you can see those 3 trees right on the top of that bank on the way up through these next set of obstacles here. And again, these trees have just taken out multiple vehicles along the way. And you'll see pretty much where I am now, just a little bit further forward is where I tried to get the wheel up on the bank, but you'll see I'm just at the limit of traction and I just would not drive up onto the bank. I was using those Discovery superpowers of being light and agile to get up there, but just, you know, the road tyres, given how steep it was, and just being right at the limit. And we're right at the point here where we're definitely giving it a nice rub the whole way up. The mirror's been pushed in and the snorkel's got some of the deepest gouges down it you've ever seen. It's one of those tracks you get an idea even from this how off angle it is, and it's pushing the car over, but it's when you get there and you're on the ground, you're going, how the hell am I ever going to drive this? Of course, it's a different story when you're in something that's twin locked with the big tyres, the tread on the side, the tyres sticking out. It's a lot easier. Just about to lean right out the driver's side window here to keep it balanced. You can see the Discovery in this situation, how well balanced it is. You know, it's just that bit lighter, it's agile, it's not, you're not really running at things and smashing it to get over it. It's one of the reasons why these things are just so reliable off-road, and you don't see a lot broken when they're driven properly. This tree I've just come past here, that thing's taken out so many sides, it's not funny. I was so busy keeping the discovery off the trees that I lost concentration on the drone. This next one is really, really tricky. You're way off angle, you can't drive up onto what looks flat there, or you'll just tip her over. And you'll see as I come through, I used the roof rack to rub on it so I could lean right over and try and get up out of this rut. And luckily I didn't have the Donaldson pre-filter screwed on too tight. I was trying to get around here to the car's left and straddle the rut. You can see when I pull up here just a bit further up that the old roof rack got a good rubber on that tree. It looks a bit different than when I was sitting on this spot a week ago. This is just a bit of footage I was mucking around later on. I've just fitted up a new set of EFS shock absorbers in the rear I'm mucking around with travel on. But I'm pretty impressed with them at the moment. A little bit more fine tuning with the brackets and we'll be done.